Let's talk trading during earnings season and how to not blow up your account. Yo, what is going on, Premium Chasers? I hope you are having a God blessed day today. Every single person that comments down below is going to get our earnings season for option sellers guide. So if you want that full ebook, drop a comment down below. I'll personally respond to you with it. And while you're down there, hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. But guys, today we're talking about earnings season. We are already in earnings season, but we got some really good ones coming up. We had some come out today, obviously with J&J, had a great double beat on earnings. And this tool that I'm using, earningshub.com, is completely free. Definitely recommend you go and always have this pulled up. We're going to be talking about in today's video my strategy as an option seller, how I trade, how I sell options during earnings week. And this is extremely, extremely important because we're going to cover a few key things to understand, okay? So obviously earnings is we have a very, very big spike of volatility across the board, right? And why is that, right? Well, number one, we have seen earnings that, maybe a company reports like J&J, right? Reports a double beat earnings and the stock goes down, right? We see this constantly on these high growth stocks. Like, for example, Nvidia's last earnings, right? It had a great double beat earnings, yet the stock went down. Make it make sense, fam. It just doesn't, right? So with that kind of uncertainty, right? And there's really no logic behind it. I'm sure there is, but that's way over my head. There is a lot of uncertainty in the markets. There's a lot of volatility in the markets. Nvidia, let's say, earnings will impact earnings of other companies in the same sector as well, right? You hear it time and time again. An earnings from one company can bring down the whole market. It's just the way it is. Now, with that, right, with that said, with that increased volatility, with that increased uncertainty, our premiums are drastically higher. Okay. So for example, when we see, right, when we do our cash secured puts, these are just our basic cash secured put calculators and covered call calculators, guys. All of my calculators and stuff like this are free. I want you guys to actually go use this stuff you're learning about. So all of these are available for free in our Facebook group. The link will be down below. It's an awesome community. Introduce yourself and then you can get all this stuff for yourself in there. But with that said, right, typically, like in this fictitious educational example, typically you might see things that are out of the ordinary on your options contracts, right? So if you're going out there and let's just say selling an option on Nvidia or whatever stock, well, it doesn't matter, right? You'll typically see a very high ROI on your collateral. So in this example, for example, we're locking up $1,900, collecting $90, right? And we could see a return of 4.68%. Now, usually, right, if your options contract is expiring during earnings week, meaning last month, let's say you open up some cash secured puts that expire this week for J&J, right? Let's just say that that's what you did, right? And J&J expires today. Your premiums would be drastically higher as opposed to if you waited 2 weeks after, right, expiration. Now you're going to understand why 2 weeks is important, or the week before earnings, right? The reason for that is because we have no idea what's going to happen, right? Even if we have a strong conviction that it's a double earnings, doesn't matter because the stock could still go down, right? And what can happen then? Well, you can get assigned. Maybe you really weren't trying to get assigned that J&J stock, but you saw the premiums were so juiced up because it's earnings week, right? And you just let it go to expiration and it expires during earnings week. A crazy move happened on the stock, and now you're risking assignment. Now you're risking your covered call and your shares being sold, right? These are all things you need to think about as an option seller. So one of the reasons that I absolutely love using Fidelity is because I can see this right on the chain. Now, I'm not sure if other brokerages will do this. I'm just going to go over here to SoFi real quick, and we'll go to the options chain. And what you'll see here is that we can actually see the earnings date right on chain, right? Now, some of you that use Robinhood and stuff, Robinhood doesn't show when the earnings are actually going to be right on chain, but this helps drastically. Can't stress it enough. So number one rule, right? During trading, during earnings, actually happens before earnings, okay? Right? It's like a gotcha, right? Because most of you as option sellers, you're doing stuff, maybe you're doing weeklies, maybe you're doing 30, 45 DTE stuff, right? Well, you need to make sure your expiration, that contract is not expiring during earnings week, right? Again, Fidelity is great because it shows us right there, right? Hey, expected report date is July 29th. So what does that tell me? Well, I don't want that to expire the week of its earnings. I might not even want it to expire the week before and the week after, right? Now, usually there's a gradual increase, right? We could see that with SoFi, right? Not so gradual with SoFi, but if you are using like Robinhood or something, you're going to want to cross-reference. So going over to like an earningshub.com is a free tool. You can quickly type in like any stock right here. Like for example, I just quickly type in SoFi here, right? And get all the information you need when its next earnings report is going to be and all of that information. You want to take that into account. We've seen it time and time again. Weird things happen during earnings week, especially even dividend paying stocks during earnings week and ex-dividend dates, okay? So can't stress it enough, right? Just be careful and I know it's an extra step. It's nice, obviously, with Fidelity that it gives us it right here, okay? Now, second thing is very important, right? You're dealing with something called IV crush. Implied volatility goes down the week after earnings, right? Why does that happen? Well, because obviously during earnings, right, the volatility is peaking, right? It's going crazy. And eventually it has to come back down to reality. And it comes back down to reality pretty quickly, okay? Now, you're dealing with something called IV crush. So your premiums are going to be usually a lot less, right? So what we want to do is typically wait out another week. So like, for example, with our live portfolio here that we started with $1,000, if I was going to do like, let's say a cash secured put on SoFi right now, right? Like, let's say I just wanted to, I'm not saying it's a good setup. It's not, in my opinion. I'm waiting this thing out. You guys know I have some calls in on SoFi, right? I would not do the 18th, obviously. I would not do August 1st because that is basically right after earnings. I would start looking in August 8th, right? August 8th and forward. Now, that might push me out to a little bit further. Maybe I can't do that weekly now. Maybe I have to push this thing out to do a 14-day to expiration, right? That's okay. That's the cool thing about selling options, guys, is all the situations that we get put in as option sellers, they're always different. They're always unique. That's why it's important to, like, if you have ideas or questions, post them free in our Facebook group, or if you're interested in being in our mastermind, right? Like, whatever it is that you want to do, like, go bounce your ideas off somebody else, because it's always nice to get a second pair of eyes. Obviously, nothing is ever financial advice, but it's cool to get help from other people and see their perspective. One thing that has helped me as an option seller a lot, and I don't consider myself a guru in this space or anything. I don't even consider myself a trader, or I'm just a dude that's been doing option selling for a long time and love talking about this stuff and wanted to form a community of people that love talking about this stuff, right? So for me, I have become a lot stronger with my option selling, because now a lot of people will post in our groups, they'll post in OSS, right? And I'm now exposed to so many different situations that it's impossible for me to ever be in those situations, because we're all doing unique strategies for ourselves, right? So it's really cool. If anything, just be a lurker and you can learn, right, from what other people are posting about. It's really cool, guys. I can't stress it enough. Like, we can all win at this together, right? Like, there is no, like, gatekeeping situation, right? Like, you're only doing yourself a disservice, right? But with that said, right, I would avoid, obviously, earnings week, right? And I would avoid the week after earnings week, right? As option sellers, we have an advantage over those silly little options buyers, right? Because we essentially have time on our side. So if I have to extend something out an extra week or two, dude, I'm not going to stress that thing out, right? I'm not going to stress it out, because guess what? As an option seller, I'm only focused on one thing, right? I'm only focused on one thing, guys. ROI on collateral. That's it. What is my ROI on collateral? As you guys know, I'm documenting a lot of my SoFi stuff, right? So I'm showing you guys what my ROI on collateral is. Like, for example, this trade that I'm in right now, obviously that's not actually 23. It's around 11% if we minus out these two. But with that said, all I care about is my ROI on collateral. What is my target that I have that I want to hit on my ROI on collateral on a monthly basis? Okay, I've developed that for myself. Perfect. When I hit it, I move on with my life. How do I hit it? Well, I don't do things that are going to put me in a defensive position, in in an offensive position, right? I like to trade, especially during earnings week, defensive. Sometimes, most of the time, honestly, most of the time, I would say, I won't do anything. I quite literally won't do anything. Like, for example, with SoFi, I might do a roll. I might not. I don't know. I'm going to see what happens during earnings week, but I'm not going to make crazy rash decisions during earnings week for any kind of stock, right? Because I know that it's quick. Now, with that said, there are sometimes situations where amazing opportunities present themselves, right? We see it a lot with like an NVIDIA, for example. It drops 10% after fantastic earnings. You know, some people are scared, oh, this is the end of NVIDIA, blah, blah, blah. Some people that are smart, they'll they'll sell some cash secure puts, collect some juicy premiums. Other people will just buy 100 shares, run their cover calls. Both are fantastic strategies, guys. Both are fantastic strategies. There's no there's no right or wrong in that situation, right? Because if, for example, if you're bullish on NVIDIA, it just dropped 10%, had a great earnings, you're like, this is dumb, right? There's no reason that you can't just go out there, buy your 100 shares, and then run your covered calls when you see a little bit of recovery, or do your cash secured put, right? Which you'll most likely be able to close out early because if you believe that it's going to recover pretty quickly. We saw that a lot in April, guys, right? April and May. We see it all the time, right? There's opportunities absolutely everywhere in this market. Guys, if you want to learn more about Option Seller School, you're not a toxic individual, you are financially stable, and you want to surround yourself with incredible options sellers that do this day in and day out, absolutely nothing held back, sharing trade ideas, giving you all the resources you need to be an option seller. Click that first link in the description of today's video. You're going to learn more about what the ARC option strategy entails, how we combine 5 sources of premium generation and income into one simple option strategy that once you get the hang of, honestly, you're not doing this for more than like 15 to 30 minutes, maybe an hour a week, right? It really just depends on how much time you want to allocate to it. But this is a strategy that I developed for myself because I'm not an active trader. I am somebody that has way more important priorities in my life, right? My faith, my family, right? My kids, right? My hobbies, right? And then trading, right? Like, and investing, right? It's at the bottom tier, right? So I needed something that fits into my lifestyle, but scratches that itch that I have because I just love investing and I love the stock market. So if you want to learn more about that, click the first link in the description of today's video. Guys, remember, sell options, collect premiums, repeat. I'll see y'all tomorrow.